About 2 months ago, I started watching Fire Force, but I actually did end up stopping after 3 episodes. And the sole reason why I did stop is because after I started watching the first 3 episodes, I saw the final season of the show was actually airing. And so I decided to wait until, the verdict and like whether or not the majority of the final season was actually good before I spent my time watching almost like 65, 70 episodes and committing that much time to like just watch a show that has a final season absolutely tank the entire thing. But I did recommit to watching the show just to like hopefully watch the final season and then like bask in the greatness that people are enjoying. And about 2 days ago is when I actually caught up. It took me a little bit of time, took me a little bit of waiting to finally get to the point. But I kind of wanted to talk about like my experience with the show so far up until like the final, right before the final, I think 4 episodes of the show. I think that's all we have left and just like what I like and what I don't like. And I'm going to preface this by saying multiple things. One, spoilers, because I'm going to be talking about the plot and what I don't like and what I like. And two, if I don't like the show and you like the show, you can go on your merry way and not really care too much because I'm just a random person on the internet giving his opinion on an anime. So if you spend too much time on it, just have fun with it. And I try to like do my best at like aggregating my thoughts on what I thought about the show, but at the same time, I'm gonna kind of just spitballing most of the time. Hopefully, I best remember the plot points that I want to talk about, and if I slightly misrepresent them, I'm sorry. So one thing I want to talk about that I liked first is obviously the animation was really good. That's something that I knew would be good in the show. I mean, I've seen a lot of like clips from it and a lot of just like art style from the show, and I, was really hoping that it wouldn't get to the point where I was only seeing the really good parts and that the rest of it would be kind of shitty. But fortunately for me, everything looked really good. I'll talk more on this character later, but Benny Maru's fight, I'm gonna call him Waka just because it's easier and less syllables. Waka's fight with Hibachi, I think his name was his old mentor or whatever. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely stunning. I really like the design of it too. Obviously they said it was because of how people viewed the ocean, like the people around them, with everything going to shit. But I thought it was like the epitome of like what the show this animation looks like, and I'm excited to see like how the final 4 episodes. I'm pretty sure there's like a few more fights that have to happen in the end of the show, and so like I think the epitome of that was like his Nichiren, where he does like that little like seven sun attack onto his old mentor, and then obliterates him like the fucking badass motherfucker that he is. And so like I really like the animation. I've said that probably like 7 times now, but I just wanted to say that I wasn't disappointed. It wasn't let down with any of the animation choices that they made. And another thing I knew about the show before, watching it was the sound design. I think that's the thing that Fire Force is most famous for. Really famous sound effects, obviously, is the Crimson Moon. I think that's what it was called by what Waka does again. I'm gonna be glazing that motherfucker the entire time. They have like really unique and really crazy sounding sound effects, and like the audio design of it was made the show a lot better and just made everything have a lot more punch when stuff was happening. And so I was really happy to see that was not just people overrating the show solely because of just like 1 or 2 moments of sound design. And then like because I, obviously have started finishing season 3, I would like to say that I really like where it's kind of going. I think the entire idea of Adela just being like connecting with how people like view the world, like people's imaginations, people's like perception of things is like a really cool thing to do. And I really like how it's like slowly transforming in like mending the real world. And I like that kind of explanation for I guess why the people just explode in the fucking fire demons or whatever because of the fact that it's kind of like how they perceive death and like if they get overwhelmed with death they'll kind of be more likely to just explode and try and have their Ireland doppelganger take their place. I thought it was like a really unique thing to have like the story kind of reach its climax. I was kind of confused on how they were gonna make it work and like kind of where they're going with Adela because I was like, oh, there's just hell, and it doesn't really make sense for like these the evangelists too just want to like unleash hell on earth for legitimately no reason in any way, because it just was it made no sense to me for throughout the majority of the show for like why these people just want to nuke the earth and turn it into like hell without any reason. But now that like kind of understanding that they want to, I guess Adela's like the imagination part of it, like the perception part, and it makes them at least like not the most irrational human beings of all time. It makes them not just absolutely batshit insane. And so I was really happy to kind of get that cleared out because it is something that was kind of irking me, which I'll talk about a little bit later when I talk about the stuff that I wasn't the biggest fan of. Is that I was just kind of like these people are cartoonishly evil. Like I do not know what their entire plan is, and like they're just the most irrational human beings of all time. But because like it's slightly kind of like oh maybe the world is how we are like turning in the world like more perception and stuff like that makes them want to just nuke the entire shit a little bit more acceptable for being villains. And so I was just really happy. And also I liked how it was like starting to change the art style with everything. And I liked how once again, guys, it kind of connects it back to the art style where like the entire existence changing. It's becoming more cartoony. And I think that's just really cool how they like also visualize this change. And I'm gonna talk about two characters that I also really like because I need to make a point of this is that Waka is probably one of the coolest motherfuckers of all time. All right, I'll talk more about him like my experience with him later on when once again I talk about stuff I really wasn't the biggest fan of, but like he has been one of the most consistent like bright spots in the entire show. I think he's just cool as fuck, and I mean like I'm a sucker for aura farming sometimes, and like that's just what he's done the entire time. I like how he's kind of like the party guy too. I mean, I don't know why, but I'm weirdly attuned to those people. Like one of my favorite people in I don't know Demon Slayers, Tengen, I think his name. Why I cannot remember. Yeah, Tengen Uzui, the Sound Ashira. Because I really like how he fights, and I really like how he's just like the most flamboyant motherfucker of all time. And so I think it's just really cool to have him be like in the show, and also like be kind of like part of the party district where people just like to have fun. And so like he's also really cool, and also like it kind of connects too. I guess like this is kind of a connection that I made in my brain. I wonder if it's why they did it. But like him being called Waka, I wonder if that's like connected to the Okami, stuff where like Okami also is that dude named Waka. I'm assuming it's some sort of mythological justification for it. But at the same time, I think like that might have just been like them referencing the same thing. But either way, I just saw those parallels, and I think it like played an Okami like sounding sound when he once again does his neutron attack on his old mentor. So like I've been glazing this motherfucker the entire time to everyone, saying that he's the coolest person of all time, and I'm assuming a lot of people do that too, and I hope so. And then another character I really like too, even though like he kind of came in late and like he's not the most important character until like this season, is Ogun. He's really cool too. I like how he just kind of went beast mode against Karen. That's his name. I just like people who are just like, we're kind of fucked. Let me just go in hard as hell and try to just kill myself so that the rest of the people live. I think it's like Last Stand where he's kind of just like saying like, oh, I'm supposed to be like the beacon of light for people, who's also like really cool. And made me like him as a character a lot more, even though he kind of like was not the most like in the plot person until this point on. And so like, if I remember anything like while I'm speaking, while I'm yapping, I will also talk about what I like, but I also want to talk about what I kind of didn't really like in the show as well, just to kind of give a more holistic experience of it from someone who has just recently experienced Fire Force. This is my biggest critique of the entire show. I will say this now, and it is one of the reasons why I was like so mad, or not mad, but I really wasn't liking the show for like the majority of my watching it, is because the women in the show are written absolutely horrifically badly, and it's not even like it gets in my way of enjoying the show, which like women can be written like shittily, like One Piece is shittily written women, and like so a lot of like animes kind of have like bad written women, especially if they're written by men. But holy fuck, does it get in the way of some points? Most obvious example is Tamaki. Like fan service sometimes is like fine, or like I can scoff at it, but this is the first time I've ever been watching a show where like it just gets in the way. It legitimately just gets in the way of my enjoyment. Where I'm like I have to just like it makes the entire show less enjoyable. And I think that the way they try to justify it, I think in literally the most recent episode of saying like, oh, she represents like joy or whatever, and like she is like the idea surrounding her like clothes just fucking flying off at every opportunity is like just her like being an aspect of something. Just because the entire 48 episodes of her clothes firing off every single time does not mean like it's easily justified by just this one moment where it's saying like, oh, actually you're the representation of something and that you make people feel joy or whatever. Like that is a really stupid writing decision for me. And even like the conclusion of the like her arc, just like I really did not like in any way, and her just as a character kind of annoyed me. And another character I really didn't like was Captain Hibana, for the sole reason that her entire personality and her entire like reasons for doing anything is just because she's like feasting over Shinra the entire time. Like I like her entire backstory, but once it's just like, oh, you meet Shinra and like he's nice to you like once, then she's like fiending over him the entire time, and like she only wants to do stuff right for the eighth company or whatever. I don't know what they're called. Yeah, Fire Force Special Company 8. It's solely because she just wants to get with Shinra. That is a really stupid way of writing a character, and it just makes no sense to me. And also, it's really annoying that that's their only justification for doing anything at all, really, other than like getting revenge, getting closure for her sisters. It's just I want to fuck Shinra the entire time. And then another character that just pissed me the fuck off is another woman is Inka. Inka is probably one of the most irrational human beings ever to like exist, ever. And like the fact that like her entire philosophy, like why she goes with the evangelist, is like she kind of just wants like chaos, like random bullshit to happen. She wants to like have that stuff happen. Makes fucking no sense to me. She's literally with like her business partners, which I know she doesn't really care too much about them. But like she just watched Karen walk up and just obliterate the fuck out of this dude's shoulder, killing him instantaneously. and says, I kind of want to go and like, work with this guy. And like the fact that she's just like so unfathomably indifferent to just every bad thing possibly happening, and she kind of just like only thinks about herself. Like, what is the philosophy behind her, other than just having like we just needed someone to go with the evangelist, holy shit, to I guess like show that people are siding with the evil people. I really do not understand it. Maybe I'm just completely misinterpreting what she like wants and what her desire is. But like it literally just feels like she's like, oh, the evangelist will like make the world the most chaotic possible, and so life wouldn't be boring, and so I want to go with them. And like that was just really a fucking stupid way to like design a character. And like I guess like another like final character complaint is not even about the women. It's about I don't even remember his name. I think it was Fairy. Whatever. The child that looks like Show that I thought it was Show that he just like randomly fucking appears. I literally had to go to the wiki and like look this guy up to make sure I just didn't miss him in any episodes, because he just like materializes at one point in the show when like the pillars start rising, and I'm supposed to be like, oh, that's just a guy I should know, or like a guy I should just accept. Well, where the fuck did this guy come from? We learn later that he's like, oh, it's supposed to be Show's protector or whatever, but like he just appears and like has like this unbelievably overpowered ability. But where was this dude the entire time? Just like I don't even remember him in any capacity showing up in any way. And maybe that's just me missing him, but I'm pretty sure he legitimately doesn't even show up until like way later on. And I was so just like taken aback by just this random fucking child popping up out of nowhere. And my next criticism of the show, it's like kind of even hard to like vocalize it, but it's just something about the first like 2 seasons didn't really do it for me. I remember like I think it was like around episode 20. I was really telling my friends, I'm like, I don't know why people think this show is good. It seems really basic. It seems really boring. And I kind of like mulling through it because I'm like I've heard that season 3 is really good, and so I just wanted to get through it. And so like obviously I'm glad that I did because I really like season 3 as a whole and what they did with the story. But I just was not vibing with the show at all. I didn't really feel connected to any of the characters other than once again Waka for the first 2 seasons. I thought Shinra was just like a really basic character who wants to be a hero. I think Obi was cool because I just like a dude beating the shit out of people, and like his entire idea is just I don't have powers. But I'm still leading the Fire Force company. That's pretty neat. But like, I just didn't really feel connected to any characters, and that just might be a me thing. Maybe I just didn't like bend with any of them. I think that it made watching the first 2 seasons a whole lot more difficult, and because of that, like I guess my like enjoyment of the show was like a lot worse until I got to once again season 3 where stuff started kicking up. And I have like 2 more criticisms. These are kind of like interesting things. I don't really know if there's like a good reason for that or not. And I'm just like mischaracterizing one of my things. But these are like my 2 biggest criticisms. I guess it's my 3 biggest criticisms because I did mention like the fairy guy or whatever. I don't even remember his name, just popping up in season 3. There's 2 things that I really didn't like about season 3, like specifically. One of them is like Burns. I feel like Burns being evil, like I get why he wanted to be evil because like why he shadowed the evangelists is because like his entire life up to that point was like devoting himself to this religion, and like finally having it being proven true, like he obviously wanted to stick and commit to it. But his entire philosophy when he was just fighting Shinra is just like, I'm an old guy, I can't really change my ways. I'm the old, you're the new. Like it's your job to change shit up. Sure, I guess if that's how you want it to go, fine. But like I was just like that just felt like such a shit way to end such like a good character. He was like willing to like, sit with Shinra, basically being his dad, like Shinra said, or like his father figure, or like a father figure that Shinra thought would be someone he wanted to look up to. And having him just like commit to just like, I'm old, I don't want to change. That's how life has been. I cannot change my life because I've committed so much to it. Like, okay, I guess it just seems like such a bad ending for such a character, like a character with I feel like so much more potential to influence the show. But I guess his entire purpose just ended up being giving a Shinra like a mental power up arc, which I guess like unfortunately that's what he was rejected to. And like another really final like criticism I have for like this 3rd season is just that 3-month skip that Shinra had felt convenient. Like I get that obviously, he like just went through this massive, like insane, crazy like flashback to like the real world of like where we live today. And just obviously that's gonna be like mentally taxing on him. But I was really wondering, like, okay, there's one of these it was like I don't even remember. It was like later it was in this back half of the season where it's like the pillars start showing up. I wonder how we're gonna get to the point where we get all the pillars up because it felt like it just wasn't enough time. And so just feeling like, Shinra passing out and like not being him for 3 months and then appearing again was just like, I guess that's how you do it. I mean, I guess like him once again transmuting himself to the past would take a toll on him, but it just felt like kind of convenient that way, and that was like not my most favorite way to have that happen. And then also I'm gonna kind of wrap it back around to things that I like just to end on a good note because I did remember one more thing is that I think Joker was an interesting character. I think he's pretty decent. I guess I don't even know if there's gonna be a like or dislike. It's gonna just kind of be an observation where like it felt like they needed a way to make the church a lot more evil with Joker's backstory, and so that's kind of what he does. And I really like him as just being this kind of like wild card, and he fits his name that he's kind of just like this random motherfucker who just makes shit happen. And I think like the only issue, not even issue, but like it felt like the author really wanted to make the church as evil as humanly possible, because in Joker's backstory, it's implied that he gets like raped by one of his like seniors because of the fact that like he says, I'm going to defile you on the inside and out. Obviously I could be misinterpreting this, but that's kind of what I thought it would, that's what I took from it. And so like it just felt like Joker also was kind of a setup piece to just make the church as evil as humanly possible, and like, and not in just a way of just saying like, oh, they're censoring the past just to make people have more hope. And like it just felt like a way to just bank it over to the side to make it so that it's unquestionable whether or not it's bad, which is like fine. It's okay. But Joker as a whole character in his wild card I've liked, and even though like he doesn't really show up until much later, or like he's just randomly sporadically out through the show, he's still a character I was like okay with being there, and like I wasn't mad about him existing. And it's like this is probably like one of the most just crazy rants. Not I don't even rant, just like I'm talking about the show of that I've probably done in a while. It's probably the longest time the app session I've had on this channel. But I kind of just wanted to say, my 2 cents on Fire Force before the show ends, and just like what I'm, and I guess I can say what I'm hoping for, what I'm looking forward to is like, obviously the doppelgangers kind of show up. So I know Waka has like one of his show ups. I'm assuming, I hope he fights it on screen for a little bit at least. I know Arthur and the dragon fight is going to be kind of a banger from what I've heard. I've heard a lot of people really like that one, so I'm looking forward to that. And also just looking forward to how the fuck this show ends, because once again, I finally got invested into it, and I want to see how they wrap it up and overall. And so hopefully the show doesn't fizzle out in the next like 4 episodes, maybe. Maybe there's more. I don't really know. But yeah, that's all I got for today. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.